Hi, hello, and welcome back to another stream. Now we're going to watch a video that I'm frankly scared of. I'm kind of nervous about this because this is almost like a 18-minute long video. It is one of the lengthiest, which is the longest one of the longest videos in this series. And the topic is making a PHP router. In our previous episode, we created a demo website with 3 pages. And we applied super globals, which were the $_server variable. I'll show you in the functions PHP. This one, and we used that to create these beautiful little custom buttons. That was that, and now we are gonna apparently make a router. Let's go!
Welcome back. Okay, hey, I've been doing some thinking, and you know what? You're ready. It's time to crank it up a notch and figure out how we can build a custom router from scratch. And granted, it's not going to be the most complex or sophisticated router in the world, but you know what? It'll be entirely practical for where you are right now in your learning. And you know what? You may not even know what a router is. And if that's the case, no worries at all. I'm going to explain every step of the process. And
okay, so what a router is essentially some sort of like a traffic control officer, like a traffic cop, or think of it like a traffic signal. If you tell the server, hey, I want to go to the about page, so it takes that request and directs it to the about.php, and then from about.php it requires about.view.php, which is over here, and therefore it loads the hello, welcome to our about us page. This is what essentially a router is, as per my understanding. Let's have him explain it.
watch this maybe 2 times because I really do think you're going to learn a lot in this video. Let's get going. Now, as always, we will tackle this in a series of steps. So up until this point, we had a direct mapping between a file path in the address bar and the corresponding controller. So for example, if I visit contact, well, we have contact.php, and sure enough, we have a corresponding contact.php controller. Okay, but I want to change all of that. Instead, I want a single point of entry where I can then be responsible for mapping whatever is in the URI to the corresponding controller. Okay, so I want to be in charge of that. Okay, so the first step is to create a new directory specifically for our controllers. Like so, and I will grab about, contact, and index.php and drag them into there. Okay, now we'll close that up. We'll have, again, a single point of entry that is responsible for handling the current route. So for example, if I say hello there and switch back, give it a refresh, sure enough, we are loading this page. And even if we have something like this in the address bar, notice that it still defers to that index.php file. Okay, well, next up, we learned in the last episode how to die and dump the current server superglobal. So
Okay, pause. Already a lot is covered, so let me follow along. There's a views folder. Now needs to be a controllers folder. Okay, locally, and I put these 3 pages into the controllers and add a new index.php. Let's say PHP, and I say, yo, world. What up? Oh, I need to echo this. Sorry. And since it's a statement, end it. No? Yeah. Cool, so that worked. And I think he's going to have us move the functions into this one as well.
Let's import functions.php
Okay.
and try that out again. dd server.
Okay, hang on. He also mentioned like if there's a 404, it'll still take us to the hello world. Okay, still does seems to work.
All right, come back, give it a refresh. And yeah, once again, we have the request URI. So notice if I change this to contact, yep, we have a match there. But we also have to be a little careful. For example, what if there happens to be something in the query string? You've probably seen this before, something like that, where we have a question mark at the end of the path, and then a series of key value pairs. Okay, well now notice request URI is not contact anymore. It is the full path, including the query string. So we need to account for that. Okay, but yeah, we could start by saying, okay, well, the current URI is server request URI. And then we could start in a very basic way. I could say, well, if the URI equals / then maybe we're on the home page. So we would require controllers / index.php. But now, before we run this in the browser, I do want you to notice something. This file requires functions.php, and then it potentially includes controllers / index. And that file also includes the functions file, and we can't do that. So in fact, if I come back to the browser and we give this a refresh, we get a fatal error. Notice cannot redeclare DD. And again, that's because we required the file 2 times, so we effectively declared that function 2 times. Okay, so now we have the ability to remove this from all of our controllers. And I told you in the last episode we would solve that little issue, and now we have. Great. So if I come back and give it a refresh, everything is working.
Wow.
We've handled the first use case. Okay, let's do it.
Okay, hang on. So let me get this straight. Because we're going to route every request through a router, which is index.php, we don't need to use the require function here like this. Rather, we don't need to import the require. You know what I'm saying, right? We don't need to require the functions.php file over here. That's how you're English. That's it. Okay. So I'm gonna change that to require functions.php. All right, let's go. Now, let's say the current URL or URI, URI, is I'm assigning it to server request URI, right? Okay. So QEST URI, and let me die dump or dump die URI. Oh god, I keep forgetting semicolons. I'm so sorry. Tell me you are a Pythoner without telling me you're a Pythoner. Okay, cool. This is fine. If I change this to yabba dabba do cartoon equals Flint stones. Okay. So these works. The URL parameters work here as well. Now if let's say the URI is strictly equal to this, then I should leave some space there for Jesus. Yeah. Then load the index page, right? So I would say, did it say require index PHP? Yeah, it did. Interesting. Require controller controller slash index.php. Autocomplete, let's go. Autocomplete, but please don't forget to add the semicolon. Fine, amazing. Okay, so by that logic, else if this URI is what the fuck, oh, excuse me, yeah, so is, let's say, slash about.php, then require controller slash about, then else if URI is contact.php, then require controller slash contact, and if none of these are true, then require, it won't be require, but it should be return 404. So I'll say echo 404, you are lost. About PHP was not found on this server. Because this is controllers. No. Controllers dash about.php. Why was it not found? View about. Oh, because I need to. No. But did the 404 work? No. The custom 404 did not work either. Nothing worked. What? Oh, I'm so sorry, I keep forgetting the semicolons. Okay, this is fine. Okay, cool, let's learn. about.php. Let's go.
Another one. How about, well, else if the URI is...
Jesus. Are these... Sorry, I depend on VS Code to give me suggestions, but...
is slash about, then we will require controllers slash about.php.
Interesting.
Okay, but now real quick, before we run this, you may remember in our...
I do. The navigation doesn't support about, it goes to about.php.
Navigation bar, we are still linking to those full file names. Let's tweak it now. We no longer do .php in the address bar, so I will delete all of those at once. Okay, so now we can say if you visit slash about, then let's load the corresponding controller. Cross your fingers, refresh, the home page works. I click on about. Oh, and we have that same problem. Maybe I didn't. Oh, I missed one. There we go. Sorry about that. I thought I got that.
That's fine, Jeff.
Anyways, we give it a refresh, and now it works.
Amazing. Okay. So we don't need the .php, right? Okay, so let's go. I'm going to remove the PHP using multi-line mode by option clicking or alt clicking here. This is fine. This can be contact.php, but at the same time in our partials nav, I need to remove it from the main navigation. So I remember here and here. Also in a couple other places, right? It was here. No. Oh yeah, I'm linking to it over here. Cool. and here. Okay, let's go. Okay, this still works. Why did this not work? Let's go. Amazing, amazing. This is so cool. We built our first ever router together. Woohoo! Isn't this fun? Am I the only one who thinks this is absolutely exciting? I love this.
Okay, so you can see how we might begin building the most basic form of a router. And yeah, just to be comprehensive, we'll do the last one. If it happens to be...
Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't even test my 404 case. So let me... Yeah. Oh, amazing. Everything works. Everything works. Let's go.
/contact, then I will load the contact controller. Yeah, so clearly what we have here isn't the final product, but we will slowly get there through baby steps. So again, home, about, contact, I think we're in good shape here. But yeah, now what about the query string? Maybe when you visit the contact page, you could include a name or something like that. Well, now at the moment, we don't see anything, and that's something we have to address. What if the user visits a URI that you don't have a corresponding controller for?
You probably want to parse the server request URI for any value before the first question mark.
What do we do in those situations? And we'll solve all of that in this video. But yeah, in this case, what is the problem? Well, URI is no longer /contact. It's this full thing here. And just to make sure we're all on the same page, I'll prove it to you. Come back, give it a refresh, and now this is what URI is equal to. So if we check it, is the URI /contact? Nope. So we do not load or require that controller. Okay, so it's almost like I need to say, no. Let's strip off the query string. We may work with that later, but right now I just want to know what the primary path is.
Correct.
So as it turns out, PHP offers a function called parse URL.
Whoa.
You feed it a URI in this case, and it will parse it and separate the path from the query string. So let's use our handy dandy die and dump function. I told you you're going to reach for it all the time. And if I give this a refresh, now notice I have an array with a key called path that is only the path, and that's what we want.
Wow.
And then another key called query that contains the query string. Perfect. This is just what we need. So now I'm going to wrap this whole thing in a call to parse URL. And now I want the value associated with the path key. So we will grab that here. Okay, so once again, let's die and dump that variable, give it a refresh, and there we go. Even if we have something in the query string, we've only matched the portion of the URI that we care about. Great. So
this is so beautiful. This is amazing. I love PHP. If I go here to the index page, I will need to parse URL, pass all this, and I just need the path. But interesting to know what you can get. You can get query, user, port, scheme. Interesting. But I need the path. So right now, if I just say foo equals bar, yes, but now because I refreshed, yeah, this is still working. 1 equals 2. Okay, cool. So it's ignoring the query string. It's ignoring the URL parameters, which is what we want.
So let's remove all of this, cross our fingers, give it a refresh, and now it works.
Let's go.
Home, about, contact. But we're not done yet. Okay, so what we have here does work, at least right now, but it's kind of sloppy. So I think we need to
I'm sorry, Jeffrey, why do you keep saying that? I kind of love it. You have a better solution? Okay, let's learn. Let's go.
refactor. And luckily, things like this are really easy to refactor once you know what to look for. So think about it. What we basically have here is a mapping. So if the path is this, then require this. If the path is this, then require that. If the path is this, then require that. So couldn't we represent that as an associative array if we wanted to? Something like this. We could say, well, if...
My God, I had a light bulb moment right now. I love this.
If it's /, then load controllers / index.php. And then I'll duplicate that. If it's /about, then load about.php. If it's contact, then load contact. So notice I've created a little map here, or even you might even call it a lookup table, a way to associate a given URI with a corresponding controller. So why don't we name that routes, like so. Okay, well now that would allow me to get rid of all of this, and I kind of like how that looks. It makes it that much easier for me to add new routes in the future.
He's going to create a function, isn't he? I think he's going to create a function
that I want to respond to and handle. But now, how do we require the correct value? Well, think about it. I have a URI, and why don't I just check if that URI exists as a key within my routes array? So I might say something like this. And here's a new PHP function called array key exists. So notice you give it the key. In this case, it would be the URI. And then you give it the array that you're looking into, in this case, routes. And what array key exists does is, well, exactly what it says. It lets you know if the array has a key of the given name that exists. So if we have a corresponding URI, only on that condition should we require the corresponding controller. Require routes URI. And let's see if it works. Home, about, contact, it all still works. So that was a successful refactor.
Wow. Okay, cool. I'm at a loss for words. I'm sorry. I'm super excited. Okay, let's go. Let's replicate this. So we have an array, an associative array, where we take, let's say, the / point it to, what are we pointing it to? Index.php. So controllers / index.php. I want to control C, control V this. Of course, I don't need this. It's a declaration. And if I go to about, this needs to be about. If I go to contact, this needs to be contact, and we're calling this array routes. Okay, cool. I don't like the formatting of this. Maybe it can be better. Yeah, a lot better. This should be here. Okay. Cool. Now we have this. If array key. Okay, so what do we have? First, last exists. Nice. There's also array key diff, which I don't know yet. I'm gonna go with array key exists. I need the key and the array. Okay, so the key is the URI, right? And if it exists in the routes array, if it does, then return routes with the URI. I'm going to be so pumped if this works. Oh god. Okay, let's go. It does. Sweet. Sweet, this is amazing. So let me explain this. How this works essentially is we're creating, because of course it works because I did not delete this code. Now I'm going to be super pumped if it continues to work. Please continue to work. Okay, so let's fix it. Controllers about PHP, index PHP, AVOUT. If the array key exists, URI routes, return routes URI. Okay. Get about. Let me restart the server. That did not help at all. Okay, so now this is not working either. Great, let's fix this. What's happening here? Let me die dump URI or dump die. dd URI. Sure. About. I don't need the / contact. Great. Now, if array key exists, that's what we selected. If array key exists, if the URI exists in routes, controllers index about. Did I wasn't getting autocomplete. Did I misspell something here? CONTROLLERS, CONTRO, controllers index about. Okay, sure. Copy the relative path. Okay. I pressed Control / to comment that out. If the root exists, then do this. Else, to keep things consistent, echo 4. Interesting. Because I keep forgetting the damn semicolon. Sorry. My bad. About. Okay, we're getting somewhere. Okay, so it is what's happening is it is routing to the correct controller, but the controller doesn't do anything. So it says require about view PHP, and it says here require views index PHP. So views index PHP. These are the partials. That's fine too. Told you this is going to be a long video, but hey, that's what we're here for. This is learning, this is progress. So I go to views index PHP. Let me follow this. Okay, close everything else. If I close everything, this is the entry point, right? Okay, so I am at routes and I go, hey, take me to / / goes to controllers index PHP. Controllers index PHP says require views index PHP, which says hello and welcome to our website, and loads these partials. That's the plan. But that is not working because should I return this? And I'm an idiot. I should require this. I'm sorry, I didn't mean that I'm an idiot. I meant that I'm learning. There you go. It works. Let's go. Sorry, sometimes the JavaScript inside me keeps coming out and I return things rather than requiring this. Glad you could watch me solve this in real time.
Or at least partially successful.
Also, not ashamed. This is a process of learning.
And I say partially because, well, again, what if the user requests a URI that we're not yet responding to? Let's give that a shot. Let's see what happens. Maybe there's a typo or something like this. Well, now...
No, I've actually solved for that. I'm a step ahead of you, Jeffrey. Friend. There you go.
We get the white screen of death, and we definitely don't want that.
Correct.
So why is it white? Well, think about it. We grab the current URI. We set up our routes. We check to see if a URI exists in our list of routes. It doesn't. So we never trigger this logic, which means we go on here and we don't do anything. So all we see is a white page. It all makes sense. Yes, but of course we need to handle this use case. And generally we want to provide what's known as a status code. So if you've ever heard of a 404 page, you can think of that as your way of saying, well, that page doesn't exist. And in fact, if you want to learn more about this, just Google HTTP status codes. We'll do it right now.
Thank you.
Status codes, and top link is fine. Yeah, so notice we have all of these response codes like 400, 302, 500, 400. You don't have to memorize all of them, by the way. But yeah, they are ways for us to respond to a given request, to provide a little more feedback. So maybe a user requests a page and we want to redirect them somewhere else. Well, there's a way to provide a response code to indicate that. Maybe we want to let them know, something went wrong on our end and we can't show you this page. Yeah. Well, we might use a 500 status code for that. Another one might be, I don't know what you just requested. This page doesn't exist. In which case we would provide a 404 status code. And as it turns out, that's the one we care about.
1 second. So I'll tell you about the ones that I know. 200, so anything in the 200s means all good, looks fine. This is regular, every day is okay sort of a thing. Redirection is, for example, if I went to About Us, so for our website / About Us, but at the backend, I'm deciding to redirect that URL to About. So it'll give me something in the 300s redirection message. Client error means we messed up, and we as in users messed up, meaning there was a typo while typing the URL, for example, or someone linked to a page that doesn't exist. So that's the part where users error, client error response, so that you can think that you messed up. And server errors, we messed up, meaning the server could be disconnected, there could be it could be offline maybe, so that's the server error response. That's error 500
right now. Okay, so in PHP we can set a status code by using HTTP response code, and I will set it to 404.
Okay.
Then I will say echo, sorry, not found, and then let's die and kill the execution.
Oh my God.
Okay, so if I come back and refresh, yeah, now I at least have a little more feedback for the user. And more importantly, we are responding with the proper status code. If I bring up Chrome Developer Tools, or I'm sorry, Firefox DevTools, I can right click and choose Inspect. I can go to the console and give it a refresh. And yeah, notice right here. So the user made a request for this page, and the response from my server is a 404 not found. We don't know what you're looking for, so we don't know what to do here. We're just going to give you some feedback there.
Cool.
Okay.
Okay, let's do that. Let's do that. Instead of just echoing 404, I'll just say HTTP response code 404. I believe that was an integer. Echo sorry, not found. I don't know why we have to die, but die. I also don't know why we have to die in real life. Sort of a philosophical tangent there, but since Jeffrey taught us to do this, I'm going to die. Maybe he goes into it later. Where's the console? Yeah, here. Failed to load, server not found. Okay. Cool. Okay, let's go.
But sorry not found works, but maybe we can integrate it into our application just a little better. So what if instead I require a file, like require views, and how about 404.php? And I will create that now. 404.php, and let's just duplicate some of this. So I will grab my index file and paste it in. And now this will say, sorry, page not found, and then maybe an anchor tag that sends the user back to the home page. Go back home. All right, and then I will style this real quick. Like, I don't know, text to Excel, make it bold, and then maybe a little margin top, and then I will style the link like text blue and underline it. You know, something pretty basic. Mm-hmm. All right, let's give it a shot. If I come back and refresh, ooh, yeah, this is an issue. Undefined variable heading. And that's because, well, we're loading the banner. The banner expects a heading variable to exist, but it doesn't. So, of course, we get a warning.
Yeah.
In this case, though, it's not overly appropriate to include the banner. So why don't I delete it in the case of a 404? Now, if I come back and refresh, this is better. So now we have a page for home and about and contact. Or if the user visits some page that we don't know about, we provide the proper feedback. We respond with a 404, sorry, page not found, and we go back home. Okay, pretty cool. Let's keep going. So back to index.php.
This is so much better. Let me follow along. Let's follow along. Okay. So instead of echoing this, we require views slash 404.php, semicolonize it. Let's have 404.php. Yeah, for those wondering, we all call it 404, but honestly it's 404. It's one of those things that it's a bit of a pet peeve of mine. We don't need the banner for this. And sorry, my mouse is acting up again. Over here, let me add a h1 tag. Sorry, page not found. Let me capitalize this. You know what? I'll show you something cool. I won't capitalize this here. Let's say paragraph, anchor, href, home, go back home. Okay, let's see. Yeah, sorry, page not found, go back home. So while it does work, it's not styled. So I'm gonna do that by class text excel. What I wanted to show you was uppercase or capitalize. I'll show you. Tailwind, capitalize, text transform. Yeah, I'm gonna use capitalize, text transform, capitalize. Cool. So it's just capitalize, not calipatize, but capitalize. Here I want class text blue underline. Yeah, let's go back. not found. Is it text blue or text color blue? Text color. Text black, text white. Is it text blue something something, right? So I'll say text blue, I don't know, 300, 500, 600 maybe. Let's go with 600. Yeah. Sorry, page not found. Oh yeah, and he needs we need some margin as well. So margin 4. No. Did he add margins? How did he add margins? Let's see.
Okay, you respond to some page that for home for. Now to include.
Yeah. Margin top 4. That's it. Okay, he added them here, margin top 4. And he text to Excel font bold. Okay, cool. Not Excel, but to Excel. Font bold. And he added margin top 4. Yeah. Should be the same if I just do this. But let me not experiment. Yeah, looks better. See what I did? The capitalize, change this. This could be page. I could be sarcastic about this. Whatever. And it should. Oh, it didn't. So it doesn't uncapitalize the words that I chose to, but it does capitalize the first letter. Okay, cool. Let's continue learning together.
The banner. So why don't I delete it in the case of a 404?
Yep.
And about, we provide the proper feedback. We respond with a 404, sorry, page not found, and we go back home. Okay, pretty cool. Let's keep going. So,
by the way, there's an error here. You saw text blue doesn't actually work. That's why his text was black and not blue. So it's reassuring to know that even an expert like him did pretty much the same error that I did.
Back to index.php. I think we can refactor this now. What do these 3 lines represent? They sort of represent us aborting the current request. So what if I create a function right here and I call it abort? I could then take all of this, paste it in like so, and then here I can simply call abort. A nice little refactor, and everything's still going to work. As you see there. Okay, but often you will want to abort but provide a different status code once you learn more about them. Maybe a 400, maybe a 500, maybe a 422. But right now, we are hard coding 404. Why don't we allow abort to accept a status code? We'll call it code, and then we will substitute it here. And here what I'll do is, remember, I need to wrap this in double quotes if I want to inline this variable here, like that.
Yeah. Okay.
Now, really, I should probably check to see, well, do we have a corresponding view for the current status code? Like, is there a 422.php file? I'm not doing that here because I'm just assuming I will never call it. But yes, in real life, you would want some safety mechanisms in place for things like that. But we're not going to worry about it. But now, yeah, I think
I'm not going to worry about the abort function right now. I get that there are different codes, and there's probably like a super global where you get these codes. But right now, I don't think I'm going to worry about that just now, unless there's something interesting that happens in the next few minutes.
Pass through 404, and this is all going to work. Cool. But sometimes it's nice to say, well, the default is 404. And if you want to override it, you can, but the default is 404. So in these situations, I can set the parameter here to have a default by saying code equals 404. So now, if I don't pass the code, it will use 404, and this will work. But if I pass something else, like again 422, then code here is set to 422, And this is going to fail because, again, we don't have a corresponding view. And that's why in real life, we would want to handle that use case. But yeah, let's stay on track, and this all works. Pretty cool. Okay, what else can we do? Well, what about this block here? What is this doing? Well, it's routing the current URI to the corresponding controller. So maybe this could be its own function, like function route to controller. And then I could paste all of that in. But notice we have these squigglies because, well, within this scope, we don't have access to the URI and the routes. That's outside of the scope of this function. Okay, why don't we pass it in? Now I can call it route to controller, and we're going to give it the current URI, and we'll give it our array of routes. Okay, next I think the abort function should go at the bottom. So now we're getting into stylistic stuff. How do I want this file to look? All right, let's see. I load it, and then we have parsing of the URI, declaration of routes, a function to handle routing the URI to one of those routes, and then an option to abort with the given status code. So if we come back and refresh, yeah, all of this is working just like it did before.
I like it. Let's go. Okay, let's do this. I'm gonna go to index PHP, and I'll change this to abort. I know I haven't defined abort yet, but let me do that. Sorry, function abort takes in some code, which is HTTP response code, which by default is code equals 404, and it gives you a code, and it takes you to the code PHP view. He did wrap it in curly braces. I don't know why. Cleaner, I guess. That's fine. This here is its own function. So function route to controller takes in URI and request. No, not request, routes. And does this. Okay, now let me, so I have defined this, I have defined that. Can I bring this below? Oh yeah, I can. So this is so cool. Even though I haven't, so it's not procedural. Even though I've defined abort below the definition for route to controller, it will work. Let me route to controller with URI and routes. Again, this can be anything at all. This can be James and Margaret, then this will be James and Margaret, this will be Margaret and James. Okay, cool. Let me save this, but it wants me to save it on a different line. I guess that's just the stylistic choice. Does this still work? Yes, it does. Let's go. Does the 404 work? Yeah, it does. Amazing. Let's go.
Okay. But now I'm starting to see that this, and this, really all of this is related to routing. And as you can imagine, in a real life project, if you're not careful, everything gets dumped into this index.php file, and you end up with a lot of messy or spaghetti code. So an initial refactor we can do is simply move this to a file called router, and then I can require it. All right, let's do that now. Router.php, and we paste it in. Okay, so now we have a dedicated file that specifically and exclusively handles parsing the current request URI and routing to the corresponding controller.
Love it.
Okay, so now index.php requires...
Right, love it. I love it. This is so cool. Okay, let me... Jeffrey is one of the best teachers. I love how he teaches. Require router.php semicolon router.php. There I go. I have to open PHP mode. Okay.
Some function.
Still works? Yeah, it does. Let's go.
For the app, it requires a router, and we're good to go here. So if I come back and refresh, yeah, once again, everything works like it did before, but now I think we're in really good shape.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Jeffrey. Is there homework? Is there any homework today? Okay, no homework. I completed this. Cool. So let's walk through this. What's happening is in the application life cycle, it goes to functions.php. It requires functions.php and router. So in functions.php, the only thing that we do is get the URL, this one, and die dump. So this is handy when it comes to navigation, but right now it doesn't even come into the picture. The first thing that happens when a request hits index.php is it goes to router.php, and inside router.php, the only thing that happens is it routes to controller, which takes in a URI and routes. So if the URI, for example, is /about, then what happens, where's this? Yeah, what happens here is it finds if the URI exists in routes. Yes, about does exist in about. The key of about does exist in routes, so it requires route URI. So it requires this thing, controller /about/php, and inside controller /about/php it requires views, so views /about/view.php, which is over here, and here there are a few partials. So it loads the head, the navigation, and the banner, and the head is basic HTML, so it's going to be common for everything. But when it comes to navigation, it requires URL to check what URL is. So URL comes from functions.php, which I told you is defined over here at the start of this recap, and it tries to match about. So when it does return true, this is a ternary operator. The value is truthy, so it goes to bg gray 900 text white, which is the current tab, and if it's falsy, then it does this. Whew. And that is how this beautiful little website works. Oh wait, I didn't even get to the 404s. If the route does not exist, however, going back to the route to controller, if this fails, then it goes to abort, and abort has a default code of 404. So that's why we are going to view /404s.php, which is defined over here. And here it says page not found, go back home. Page not found, go back home. Links to the home page. That is how this little application works. Thank you so much for learning with me. Please go to larrycast.com and take the PHP for Beginners course and learn with me if you'd like. Thank you for watching.